Yo, what's up everyone, OctiumD here, and today I'm going to be going over 10 cards that you can buy right now under $100. Let's get right into it. But before this video starts, feel free to leave a comment, like, or subscribe. We also got the Discord link in the description below, so feel free to join that too. Without further ado, let's get started. However, before we start, I want to make note that if you're just adding cards to your collection and you're not really looking to, maybe sell it in the future for better cards, I would definitely look into buying these cards at moderately played or heavily damaged or whatever you prefer. These will get you so much lower prices and a lot more leeway, whether you're getting it off of TCG Player, eBay, or you're just going to a local card show, which I would always suggest that you would do. However, for this video, I'm solely going off a near mint because when we're going to trade and invest these at some point, we're going to probably want it at the best condition possible. So there you go. So without further ado, let's get into 10 cards that I'd suggest getting under $100. At number 10, we got the Mega Latias from the Mega Evolution set going for about $92 right now. I'm not really the biggest fan of picking up newly printed cards that have just released. However, this Mega Latias is such a beautiful card and it's dipping very, very quickly. Notably, the artist Akira Agiwa, I'm probably mispronouncing that, but whatever, is such an incredible artist and his cards have been doing numbers. Akira is one of the best artists right now and is featured in many different sets. For example, in Crown Zenith, he has the secret rare Giratina, Palkia, Dialga, and Arceus, along with also the new Mega Darkrai from Pitch Black, and also the Terra Crystal Charizards from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which are honestly one of my two favorite cards right now. However, this Mega Latias is going to obviously go up. Latias is one of the biggest cards for hype purposes, and I think it's going to do really, really well. Buying this at $92 right now might be a really good steal for you in the future. Moving on to number 9, we have another card from the Crown Zenith set, Leafeon V Star Ultra Rare. This Leafeon goes for about $80 right now. And since March, this card has reached about a $30 increase, but has dipped a little in a month or so. As I said in many other videos, Eevee is definitely one of those cards that always gets hyped because it's an evolution and many people find that a really good card to have or just take really interest in the card itself. Nowadays, I would always put emphasis on buying Eevee evolutions now. I think they always spike because we've seen Evolving Skies and how that usually works with the whole price spike in the future. If you can find a budget Eevee, I definitely get your hands on at least this Leafeon. Also, notably, there's also the V-Star Glaceon from Crown Zenith that a lot of people love. So if you want that one too, you should probably go pick it up because it is around the $70, $90 mark at near mint. Obviously, something else to think about is that Sword and Shield is no longer tournament legal for the TCG, so any card like that always goes into like the collector's circle category, so we know that price is always going to spike, and that's the same going with the Scarlet and Violet base set. Additionally, Scarlet and Violet is probably going to go through the same thing with that spike, with it being pushed out of the TCG very, very soon. Now, the reason why I have this Leafeon at number 9 is because it is on the closer end to the $100 mark that we have for this video. So even though I think it's a very good card and the art is very beautiful, I still think that it's not something that shines with the best investor potential if you want to make more bang for your buck. Moving on to number 8, we have the Gardevoir Special Illustration Rare from the Scarlet and Violet base set. This also was the same artist who created the Leafeon art at number 9, and quite frankly, this is a really great collector's card. I think everyone needs to grab onto cards like this if they want to get more invested into the hobby because they're extremely collectible. The art here is beautiful. I love the family-oriented Gardevoir that we got here. And the fact that it's a chain art with Ralts and Kirlia makes it even more collectible. I see this card skyrocketing in the future. It has that nostalgia value that a lot of people like. It's a Gen 3 Pokemon that everybody wants to have. It's a very big fan favorite. Moreover, this card is also a nostalgia card, but it's also something that, a lot of collectors gravitate towards. I think Gardevoir in general is kind of a combination of this really cool Pokemon, but also this kind of cutesy card collector Pokemon that a lot of people like. So if you're thinking about buying a Gardevoir or this special illustration rare Gardevoir, please do so. It is a really good card. Moving on to number 7, we have Alakazam SIR from the 151 set. Guys, I'm telling you, if you want to take investing seriously, always invest in the stuff that gravitate around nostalgia. I always say this buzzword, nostalgia, nostalgia, nostalgia. 151 is the set everyone wants to buy because not only do millennials love it, but Gen Z loves it too. Alakazam is one of those fan favorites that everybody wants to buy, and this 151 card is super cheap compared to the Charizard SIR, Blastoise, and Venusaur SIR. I actually just personally picked up this card at a card show a few weeks ago for about $65, and the card right now is running at $68, but you could definitely get it for lower. Moving on to spot number 6, we have Cinccino, special illustration rare from the Chaos Rising set. Now, this is a questionable card. However, I think it's one of those cards that you just have to take a gamble on. It's a very cutesy card. It's very accessible. And also, I do take into the point where, yes, Chaos Rising did just come out a few months ago. And so that it's kind of particular that we stay away from sets like that because they always tend to drop. And coming with the new sets, people are really theorizing that the Pokemon market might crash. So maybe you could get this for cheaper. However, I have one of those feelings that since it is a cutesy card, it's one of those cards that's highly movable, meaning that when you go to a card show or you go, whether you sell on eBay or TCG Player, this card is extremely popular among people who want that cutesy set. And to be honest with you, this card isn't really that expensive. Moreover, it's from Chaos Rising and it's very abundant. So a lot of people are going to have this card available, but I don't think it's going to get lower. If you are a vendor, this card is extremely perfect for you. I think that if you get a lot of these Cinccinos, they move extremely fast. You can set them at a pretty high price, and they're not going to dip because people love this card. I kind of have this strange opinion when it comes to cutesy cards. I think cutesy cards are honestly worse for the market than they are like the hype beast Charizard cards, only because people will literally just spend any amount of money on them. I have this theory that always goes on in my head where, you know, you're at the card show with your significant other and they see a card and the vendor sees that they see that card and they really want it. So you say to yourself, oh, okay, like I'm not going to go any lower on this and I'm just going to be super strict with sticker price. This is exactly what's going to happen, and I think Cinccino is going to stay pretty strong and hold its own in the market and not dip too much, so I would definitely grab Cinccino if you can. At number 5, we have the Suicuine V Ultra Rare from Crown Zenith. This Suicuine card is beautiful, it's one of my personal favorites, but it's also seen a dip in the last few months, and it goes for about around $60. Suicuine doesn't have the biggest market, however, I think because of how small the Suicuine market is, there isn't really that grand plethora of choices for Suicuine. I think this being the only illustration rare of Suicuine, it makes it a lot more valuable, and it being the first, I think the card is extremely beautiful as well, and I would find it that it'd probably be a good idea to get this card while it's dipping right now. Again, Crown Zenith is not printing much anymore, and it's probably honestly not even being printed anymore, so we know that this Suicuine is going to just rise in price as it goes on, and getting it now would be the best to buy it for as cheap as possible. Maybe I'm a little biased because I am a Suicuine fan, but this card is really, really worth it. Here's my keycap for proof. See? It's my Suicuine keycap. So cool. Anyways, this Suicuine is going to be a super good card in the future. They are always very expensive, and being at $60 right now, I think is a great steal for this card. Moving on to our number 4 spot, we have the Mewtwo Promo from 151. Illustrator Bunjujo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Stay tuned though, because this artist has a few other cards in this list that are really, really beautiful and worthwhile as well. Now, Mewtwo. Again, the nostalgia factor that I talked about earlier in this video, it skyrockets here. Whenever we're talking about Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, Mewtwo, Mew, those are the cards that everybody looks for. This card is only around $50 right now. So if you have the chance to pick it up, I definitely pick it up now. It's a very beautiful card. It's extremely underrated. And another rule of thumb is if you're looking for cards to invest in, promos are always the way to do it. Again, promos have a set limited value. We know how many promos are there because we know how much is usually printed by a rough estimate. So we know that these cards are usually going to be found pretty easily. Also, I'm making a separate video in the future just to highlight how valuable promos are. They're super easy to get, but they always rise in value so easily. This Mewtwo is a beautiful card, and it's bound to just hit that crazy market spike anytime now. Again, I want to emphasize the nostalgia factor. There are so many people who collect Mewtwo and find Mewtwo to be extremely interesting and collectible. I definitely think that if you have the money, buy a Mewtwo right now. At number 3, we have a couple of cards. I know this kind of breaks the rule for having a 1 through 10 list, but this card I like to put in one category, and that is any Charizard promo card from the Sword and Shield era. More importantly, the Charizard V-Star and the Sleeping Charizard promo. With that being said, you know how I roll on this channel. I'm a big guy on pushing the nostalgia agenda. I think millennials control the market very heavily, and Charizard is the Pokemon that drives it. Now, when looking at promo cards, there's a lot of discrepancy between Sword and Shield promo cards and special illustration rare cards from the Scarlet and Violet set. I think a lot of people are hypnotized by some of the special illustration rare hype, especially from the whole Mega Evolutions Charizard X special illustration rare. And people totally forget about the affordable Charizard cards that are promos in Sword and Shield. I'm not really even that big of a fan of Charizard myself. I mean, yes, given Charizard is cool, but there's so many other Pokemon that are so amazing, and I think a lot of people agree with me as well. However, a lot of people in this hobby are very driven by that nostalgia factor. So Charizard is something that's always super safe to pick up. And luckily for us, there are Charizard cards that are under $100. Starting off on the higher end, we have the Charizard V-Star promo. That is also the connected art from the Mewtwo Ultra Rare that's also in this set. This Charizard is a beautiful Charizard. The artwork is amazing. And also, it's extremely cheap, which only goes about $77 right now at near mint. And then we have the Sleeping Charizard promo, which goes around $50 to $55. Both of these cards are really nice and pretty cards that include the beloved Charizard, and everybody probably is going to want a piece of it in the future. Moving on to number 2. And also moving on to number 1, I think it's fair to share these spaces because both cards are made by the same artist and are both promo cards by Boon Tujo, the Ends Zekrom and Ends Reshiram. These two cards are particularly something that I would tell everyone to buy right now. I think the safest bet is probably going to be paying the $20 for the Reshiram, whether with a stamp or not, because this card is extremely beautiful, and N's Reshiram always does super well. N is a fan favorite. Everybody loves the Black and White series, and N is the star caption from that series. However, if you don't feel like spending all that money for Reshirams, then I would buy a bunch of the N Zekroms. I think these two cards are the best cards to invest in right now because they're both extremely cheap, but they feature beautiful artworks with N both included inside of them. N is an extremely popular character, and he's going to do well in the future. With that being said, I personally would favor the N's Reshiram. I think it is a prettier card than N's Zekrom. Also, N's Reshiram has been here for a while, so I think it's a lot easier to invest in said card. N Zekrom has only been around for a few months now, and also I just don't think the artwork is as good as N's Reshiram. However, don't get me wrong, the artwork is still beautiful, and I think Zekrom and Reshiram cards do really well when they have N in it, but also these cards are crazy cards to collect. They're extremely collectible friendly, everybody loves them, and you can get a lot of them. Every card show that I've been at, they've every table includes an End Zekrom or sometimes an End Reshiram. Journey Together is not that popular of a set. However, people are going to love End's Reshiram in the future, and they're not going to care about whether or not it came from Journey Together. Anyways, guys, this is the complete entire top 10 list that I would invest in cards in right now. There's obviously a bunch of cards that I missed out, and a lot of that is due to preference, but also due to my actual theorizing tactics when it comes to investing in cards. However, if you have any cards that you suggest should be on this list, just let me know. Leave it in the comments section below, and I'd be happy to even make a new entire list as well for the following weeks as well. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. See you later.
We ran away like a jet propulsion. Man, I guess we'll go back to Club Convulsion.
Dance, dance, dance like you're having a seizure.